Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Almost Home Creates. This week I have some molds I'm going to try out to make some keychains with and some pop sockets for phones. And I got some temporary tattoos because I wanted to try out using temporary tattoos on my molds just to see how they worked. And I got these little Hello Kitty temporary tattoos. So first thing is I cut them down to size to fit correctly into these molds. These are Let's Resin molds, and I will link all of the items that I used in my description below if you would like to check out any of it. And basically you're just going to cut down your temporary tattoos to fit into the mold the way you want them to, and then soak them down with water. Make sure that you get them pretty well soaked so that the temporary tattoo sticks to the mold instead of to the paper. And after you're sure that they're going to come off, you go ahead and peel the paper off and basically take the paper off. And then at that point you do have to let them dry for a few hours so that there's no water left in your molds. And I let mine dry overnight. I think it was actually 2 days that I let them dry. So you just want to make sure you start this process before you are ready to pour. I like processes like this because I like to be able to do stuff while I watch a show in the evening, and this is kind of the perfect type of thing to be able to do while you're doing something else. So I would cut down each of the tattoos as I used them and kind of figure out which of the spots they would fit into best, water them down, and then remove the backing so that I can just let them dry. And I'm going to make a bunch of different ones because I want to try some different backing and different resins to pour in to decide which colors, etc. I like better with these, just so I can make some pop sockets then. And I like Hello Kitty, so this is what I decided to go with this time. I am trying to edit out some of the extra stuff here so you don't have to sit through all of the steps of each one of these, but I'm trying out a bunch of different of the tattoos again just so I can try the different ones. And I wanted you to kind of see the different tattoos that I am picking out for my different molds just so I can show you the whole process through each one of them and the finished product. And at this point, you can kind of see the different ones I've gotten ready for my molds, and you can actually see the corners of some of them are not perfect. And I'm going to pour them anyways because I kind of want to use some glitter on some of them and a few things that I'm not sure that I will love, but I figured it's best to try those on the ones that have some Mars already. And I also figured out as I poured these, you can take a small tip paintbrush and some acrylic paint and kind of touch up any of your black lines that may have messed up in the transferring over of the tattoos. And in the actual pouring, I had one that messed up a little bit, and I used a small tip paintbrush and some black acrylic paint and just fixed the lines on those. So there's various things that I tried on these, and there's kind of endless possibilities with the tattoos. I found so many different cute tattoos that I could make these out of. So I just wanted you to see the whole process from start to finish with a bunch of the different ones that I've picked out. I am starting with my first resin now, and what I'm adding to this is a little bit of Illuminite white resin dye, just so that it has that very white look. I'm adding a little bit of glitter. I'm not sure that it will really show through in the dye, but I thought I'd try it, and I added just a little bit of alcohol ink just to give it a little bit more white. I honestly probably would not have needed to do that at all in the end, and probably I won't next time because the Illuminite white dye ended up being my favorite thing that I tried over all of the different ones. And in the end, after I poured it and dried it, and you'll see in the end, you can see a little bit of the shimmer from the glitter, even though the glitter is not as apparent as it is in some ways that you can use glitter. Now, this is the one I used in the majority of my pours this time because I honestly thought it would be my favorite, and I was correct. It looks the best overall. I also am going to try a couple with mica powder just for the extra almost shine that has, and I liked that one, and I might use those again because I'm sure some people would prefer that, but I personally preferred this just clear white finish, probably because it's Hello Kitty, so it made sense that she was white in it, and it showed all the details from the tattoos. I kind of think that if you're doing the temporary tattoos, a white is a good choice because it shows off all the colors for them, but I think depending on the tattoo, others could be good choices as well. I also am going to try one with just putting glitter on the top, and it was the pink one. And if you notice, there was a little bit of a place where the tattoo did not actually transfer correctly on that one, or it maybe got stuck almost as it came off and stuck over onto it. So I tried the glitter with that one, and I'll show you the result in the end, but I was correct. It made it very difficult to see the tattoo. So I think going forward, I will probably just use my Illuminate white resin dye to do these pop sockets and keychains with. Now, if you notice what I'm doing with the airplane Hello Kitty, I have taken cotton balls and pulled out very small portions of them, and what I'm doing is dipping them in clear resin to give them that resin on them to make sure that I'm taking all those little air pockets out of it, and I am just making sure that it is soaked in resin, and I'm putting it kind of behind there so that it will look like little clouds, hopefully. And in the end, I'm going to put some blue on the back of this after I put the cotton balls, just to make sure that the cotton balls are completely enclosed in resin, because as it dries, they kind of came up a little bit and they were a little bit puffier than I meant them to be. I think next time what I'm going to try is taking some cotton balls and pre-resining them the day before and letting them harden so that I have a little bit more freedom with putting them in there without them moving as much. Now, as you'll see, I've done 2 clear, and then these other 2 that I just finished were my ones with mica powder. The clear ones I'm going to try 2 different techniques with, and the one I've already mentioned is I'm going to just put a pink glitter on the back of the one, and the other I'm actually going to put some alcohol inks in and kind of see what happens, and it did similar to what I thought it would. It's very hard to see the tattoo with the pink colors in there, so it's probably not something I will do again with temporary tattoos, although I might do it with other pop sockets and just use alcohol inks for some pop sockets instead of trying to do that technique on top of temporary tattoos too. So this is the one I'm using the alcohol inks in, and I absolutely love how alcohol inks move, but it just wasn't right for the temporary tattoo. But again, I'll show you how that one turned out because some people might like that better in the end. Now, after I'm done with this, I'm going to let all of them harden completely in their molds overnight. I believe I let them sit for 2 days because, again, I was busy and had other things I was doing, so I did not get them unmolded completely. But after I unmold them, I am going to cover the backs in glue. I use Elmer's glue instead of the latex, which both work very well. And after I cover them, I will dome the tops just to make sure that any of the sticky that's left from the temporary tattoos on the front is covered in resin and is completely covered and won't come off at any point and wear off. This is the one I used with the glitter, and as I mentioned, it's very hard to see the temporary tattoo through it, but I kind of figured it would be. I just wanted to make sure. And on this one, the wording is backwards because I honestly did not even think about the fact that wording would not transfer correctly. So next time if I use one with wording, I would make sure that I probably did not use it for the wording and cut the wording off. However, most of the ones with the white, I really loved how they turned out. I liked this one. Overall, they mostly look good. The backs are a little brown because I accidentally burned them when I was trying to pop bubbles with my lighter. So I will not be doing it with that same lighter again next time. But since these were my practice run, I'm just going to go with it and probably just use the ones I want myself and not worry too much about what I'm going to do with the others as far as selling them. Here is the pink one that I was talking about where I did the alcohol inks. And again, you notice that one is very hard to see the temporary tattoos, but the others are just turning out so well. These ones that I used, the Illuminate white resin dye, are my favorite. I'm not sure if you can catch the shimmer that you see with the glitter through the camera lens, but in person you can really catch that. Here's the one that I did with the clouds. I like the little cloud look, but I'm going to put a little bit of clear blue on the back of it just to see how that works. And you can see it with the white. If I did white on the background, it would basically cover the clouds. So I'm going to try it with a light blue to see if that's what I do. And here I'm just covering the backs with the Elmer's glue that I like to use to cover the backs with before I dome it. And you're just going to want to take a paintbrush and gently push your glue to the edge. I want it to dome my sides, so I'm not putting it on my sides. You can additionally add it to your sides if you prefer. So here they all are, ready to go. The backs have dried nicely, and I am ready to pour. I am going to just take a small amount of my resin and pour it over each one, and then with gloved hands, I will just kind of work it over each of the surfaces and make sure it's over the surface of the edges as well. Because if you don't get on the edges, it will kind of have shiny spots and not shiny spots. So you just make sure that you have it nicely applied to the whole surface that you want covered, and the glue on the back will make it so that any of your drips are going to pop off pretty easily. And now that I am done with that part, I'm going to take my airplane and I'm actually going to put a layer on the back. I similarly, on this one, actually applied my glue to the sides because I did not want this on my sides. I want to actually dome the top after I'm done with putting the blue on the back to basically make sure that my clouds are completely encased by resin, and just to bring a little bit of color to kind of see what that does, since I did add the clouds and putting white on would make it so that you can't see them. So that's what I'm doing here, is just adding that blue to that particular what I'm going to make into a keychain. And here are my domed products. I am not going to have time to actually show you putting the keychains together because I actually need some new keychain supplies. Apparently I am out and did not realize. On this one you can kind of see a little bit of the shimmer that I'm talking about, where you can kind of see the glitter coming through. And to me it's about the perfect amount for something like this. This is the one I put a little bit of paint on after it was dried and before I put the final coat of resin on. And here's the one I put the clouds in. This is backwards, but I like this view too. And there's a little bubble here that I'm going to sand down. And then I'm going to coat this one more time on both sides with resin before I make that into a keychain. And I'm going to show you this little circle one over here. And I'm going to just put a pop socket type thing on it. It's not the official pop socket brand. But it is a similar thing for your phone, and I'm going to show it to you when it's applied. This is the one where the writing is backwards, just so you can see that and be aware of that if you have wording on a tattoo. I'm not sure why I didn't think of that. And this is the one I'm turning into the pop socket. You're just going to peel the backing off one side and apply it in the center of the circular pop socket that I've created for the phone, and it sticks quite nicely. I think if I'm doing this for a long term, I will actually use some glue as an adhesive as well. And I'm going to try this out on my phone just to make sure I like this brand and how they work and everything. But this is my final product for today. I hope you like this video, and if you do, please just like and subscribe for more. I'm going to come back in the next couple of weeks with some more videos on keychains and how I put those together. So thanks for watching again, and if you have any suggestions for things I could try next, just leave me a comment below. Thanks again.